Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat and we're still reading The Cyborg Tinkerer by Meg LaTorre. Let's get into chapter 5 and 6. So we're back with Rora, who as it turns out has some issues with her cyborg hand. Apparently mechanical parts can now drone in mechanical melancholy, but okay, let's just assume it makes her sad that her hand is going, rather than the hand itself, but whichever. But then the way it is described, before she said, oh, I need to seduce this cyborg tinkerer so I can get an upgrade or whatever. But then she describes it as like a bolt of electricity shot up her arm and into her shoulder. You don't need an upgrade, you just need a repair for starters. And I feel like they should have somebody in the circus who does that already, because, I mean, they have somebody who did the surgery on Gwen, so at least one capable person must be in the circus somewhere. Thankfully for Rora, one of her friends that we've met before drags her along to the Tinkerer because she's like, you can't do this with like a damaged hand. Let's just go to the Tinkerer and see what she can do. So Gwen starts examining Rora's cyborg parts. And of course she still doesn't know what she's doing. Rora doesn't know that yet. But then Rora gets a bit jealous that Gwen is paying so much attention to her mechanical parts and not her as a person. And I'm just here like, girl, you're talking about your own body part. What the heck? And then we learn that apparently once you get your cyborg implants or parts from the circus, you're not entitled to any upgrades or new parts throughout your whole tenure or for the whole contract. And like, what machine works for like 13 years without any maintenance whatsoever? Like, literally none. So it seems like a stupid contract clause. And I would argue that at least repairs should be covered by this as well. But what do I know about cyborg circuses and contracts? Rora outright tells you that her plan was simple, to seduce the Tinkerer. And you're over here like, one might say the plan's too simple. Also, the timeline doesn't add up. Like, if she needs this new implant now, and if it takes any time to adapt or heal or whatever, then she won't have time to practice or actually take part in the competition, because as I understood it, they only have a couple of days before that starts. So replacements and repairs are not really a thing, because after cyborg implants were prohibited, obviously they weren't manufactured anymore and they became very rare and hard to get. But then if this is a mechanical part on a human body, then the material should still be used in like other bits of the ship or machinery. So I'm sure you can find bits and pieces that you can at least use for this. Or, you can find yourself a blacksmith who can craft something that is the right size, diameter, or whatever. I mean, sure, the proper implants that you attach to like the nervous system, yeah, that might be next to impossible to replace. I get that. But all of the other mechanical parts, I feel like there should be ways around that, and it shouldn't be this hard to get things repaired. I don't think I'm asking for MacGyver level of ingenuity here. So we also learned that Rora didn't get any upgrades or better parts because the previous Tinkerer was very much a by the rules guy, but then he vanished a couple of months ago. And like, who fixed anything in between? Like, if it wasn't this guy, who did the surgery on Gwen, and why can that surgeon not fix any of these things? I'm so confused by this concept of the missing surgeon. Okay, he's not missing, he just vanished between Gwen's surgery and now. As if he never existed. I think I forgot this last chapter, but they're also having a ball to celebrate that they might be going to see the Emperor, and before this competition starts. And it's like, this seems like a very weird thing to have for what is essentially a company. Yeah, we're throwing a ball for everybody who works here now. It's like, so is this your version of a Christmas party, but with a lot more dress up? I don't know. Seems like a weird thing to have. But then again, if you're already living in the castle, I mean, gotta make use of that ballroom, I guess. Yeah, Rora makes it clear that she's also attracted to Gwen. Like, Gwen is taking something out of a shelf or something. And Rora says, a great view of an ass the sun would orbit. Yeah, okay, if that's how you describe a nice ass in this day and age, then sure. For all other purposes, huh? Like, what does this even mean? Does Gwen's ass have enough gravitational pull to make the sun orbit around it, or... Yeah, and Rora manages to ask Gwen out to accompany her to the ball, which is apparently the very same day, because when we get into the next chapter, they ran for the bathroom that's attached to Rora's room, or possibly is a shared bathroom because they seem to have cubicles. Yeah, and then they go shower together before they get ready for this ball. It's like, that is a weird thing to do before your first date, okay? Like, if you had been dating for ages, you were living together, you're like an old couple or whatever, it's like, okay, getting ready before you go out to something formal or whatever, okay. But before your first date? Strange thing. And then Gwen turns out to be a bit creepy, because in chapter 6 we're back in Gwen's head, and she really has to try hard not to stare into the other cubicle to stare at Rora, and apparently is also holding back from fingering herself while Rora is next to her naked, and you're like, girl, no, this is fucking creepy, no. You barely know this person, and just because, I mean, to the reader it's clear that you're attracted to each other, just, 10 minutes into knowing her, fingering yourself while you're next to her in the shower and stare at her, it's like, no, no. Just no. Then a rather odd tidbit, like, Rora is doing Gwen's hair and is putting it into large, hideous rollers, the ones to give curl to your hair. It's like, are there any others? Like, are there rollers you put in your hair to make your hair straight or anything? Because I don't think there are. So, yeah, but then again, I've never used any, so I might be completely wrong. Okay, Gwen is at it with her swearing again, while she gets into a dress that Rora picked for her. And this dress is just a very particular thing. She describes it as bright yellow and very heavy, apparently, because she's trying to get into it by herself and zipping it up. Apparently it took her 4 attempts and she still hasn't managed it, but now she's sweaty all over because this is such hard work. I'm like, what is this dress made out of? Like, are there metal plates in there or something? Yes, and because we're in a castle and a ball seems something from the past, we also have to wear corsets that we can't put on ourselves, because Gwen needs Rora's help, and later Rora will need Gwen's help to get dressed as well. It's like, wow, we made it to the age of space travel, but women still can't dress themselves. Brilliant. Yeah, Gwen is contemplating whether it's a good idea to get close to anybody. Again, because as we've learned on her last trip, she didn't get close to anybody at all. I'm just like, you'll be stuck with this circus for 13 years. I don't think any human being is designed to be by themselves for 13 years, so you might as well make friends. I mean, 13 years is a long time. Yeah, so it turns out this castle has proper servants' quarters. I don't know whether they just state that in name and there are employees living there or not, but it does sound like there's proper royalty in this world as well. I'm not quite sure as to how that works under the Emperor and what implications it has for anybody. But yeah, we have proper royalty in here as well, it seems. It turns out Gwen is quite used to balls because her family used to be rich and royal, I suppose. And she went to a couple of local balls, and all I can think is like, oh, so is Jane Austen in space. Gwen and Rora head to the ball, and Gwen actually says something that I fully agree with. Like, she describes the announcer with his glittery suit and glittery hands. I think it's actually on his skin, not on his gloves. But she describes it as the hairpiece of decor, which is not untrue. While glitter is very pretty, it is evil. Yeah, then she actually points out something that doesn't make any sense to her. Like, they have an announcer, but then it's a masquerade ball. Doesn't announcing people defeat the purpose of a masquerade ball? And Gwen actually asked this, and I'm confused too, plus she never gets a reply. So it turns out Gwen's family was not quite in favor of the Emperor when he came for all the cyborgs. I don't know whether that was the reason why they didn't support him or whether there was more at play. But that's how Gwen lost title and lands. Gwen has a minor argument with the announcer because he obviously wants to announce her in style and she just wants to sneak into the ball and not be announced in any way. But he insists, and then Gwen shows you just how mature and grown up she is. Screw delicacy. Gwendolyn fucking Grimm. It's like, yeah, really. I mean, how old are you, Gwen? Seriously. And I would technically need to stand on the desk to show you what I think a curtsy looks like, but I'm pretty sure the author doesn't know what it looks like either, because Gwen gave her most functional curtsy to him, a masculine swagger of hips. I don't see any way where you can swagger your hips in any shape or form while doing a curtsy. That just doesn't work. Yeah, and then the thing that struck me is odd. Gwen keeps describing her dress, Rora's dress, and then later when Bastian comes into the scene, he also gives you a whole paragraph on how his attire is even more formal, how it's midnight black with glittering pinstripes that match her dress. And up to this point, Gwen never struck me as a person who cares about what anybody is wearing or fashion, full stop. And now she spends all of this time telling you, like, oh, this is what they're wearing, this is this dress, and blah. And it's like, yeah, okay. I don't care about fashion either. So if you stuck me into a ball situation, then at best I would recognize or remember the colors of dresses. And, if there's plenty of glitter on it. That's the stuff I would remember, that I would take notice of. But a whole paragraph about, pinstripes on his black suit. She does another swaggering curtsy towards Sebastian when he insists that they dance together. And I still don't see it. The way Bastian is described sometimes is really odd to me. So they are dancing and he is holding her tight. And Bastian held her waist tightly to him. The heat radiating off his body had her wondering what exactly stoked his internal furnace. She could feel the domesticated flames bubbling beneath the surface. What? Once again, I have to wonder whether he's about to go up in flames. The same way that she described his eyes in an earlier chapter. It's like, is he just about to go whoosh on you or something? Then some stuff seems to be happening at the ball. Gwen doesn't know what's going on yet, but Bastian extends a warning to her. I offer this warning as a courtesy for someone new to the circus. Prepare yourself and stay close to me this evening. I will protect you. One, why would he care? If this was too dangerous and he cared not to have her there, why bring her along? If he wants her there, then why does he care enough to keep her out of trouble? They have virtually no relationship so far. And I don't see him caring at all for what she's up to. But she gets miffed that he treats her like a damsel in distress, and I agree, it's not cool. She is a capable woman within the context of the story so far, and she doesn't need a guy to protect her non-stop. So in this point, I'm actually with Gwen. And then she takes off to go back to her actual date with Rora, because she's kind of fed up with Bastian. And and apparently she has taken from his behavior that he's scared of something. What could possibly scare the great Bastian Kabir? He hasn't given you any reason to call him great, unless it's being sarcastic and it's lost on me, but he hasn't done anything that would qualify him as great so far. Certainly not the way he leads the circus. Yeah, so that's 2 more chapters down, and not an awful lot happened beyond Gwen and Rora drooling over each other and getting ready together after communal shower, because that's what you do before first dates now. But it really annoys me that they still can't dress themselves. Like, you can fly through space on sail ships, but still need help getting dressed. Progress. Yeah, but maybe something interesting will happen at the ball now, or the competition will start and it will pick up from there. Thank you guys for watching. If you've read the book, let me know what you made of it in the comments. Like and subscribe if you want to help the channel out, and I'll be back next week with another video. Bye guys!